What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the NFC West Roundtable. We are live here, and you know what? We're almost wrapping up preseason. We've all knocked out 2 games. We got 1 more remaining. I know that I haven't heard of anybody else going to the games, but I was at the first one for the Rams, albeit this one this upcoming weekend for the Rams as well. And then we got a week off, and then we got actual football that actually counts. We can pay attention to the scores, not just some random third stringer who's playing well. So that's gonna be good stuff. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Good. Can't complain. I'm excited. One week closer to,
doing good, man.
Actually counts.
We're getting there. Steezy, what's up, man? We missed you last week.
I'm pumped
up.
No,
I'm feeling good. Real excited to get back into this with you guys. Super excited. Let's get it.
Yeah, man, it's some good stuff. So, like I said, we've all knocked out our 2 preseason games so far, and so some bad things have happened, some good things have happened. But I guess we'll start with if there's any injury updates. We'll go with the AZ Sports fan first.
Cool. In terms of injury updates for the Arizona Cardinals, nothing too big. At least anybody from like the 53-man roster. We have Dennis Garrett that was hurt from last year. That seems to be still having that same injury. But he did get off the PUP list yesterday, so that's good news. So hopefully he might be showing up in for the first week against the Titans. Maybe not. Maybe week 2 is when we're going to mainly see him. Obviously, J.J. Watt was also put on the injury list, but that was more for precautionary reasons. And we're also going to have him as a 65% snappage usage, just so we can make sure he's maintained in bubble wrap, just in case we do make the playoffs.
Good call. Good call. Steezy, what about them Seahawks, man? Any injury updates?
Yeah, a couple of players. Wide receiver John Ursua, who was making a pretty good impression on the Hawks. I thought he was going to make the 53-man roster. He tore his ACL, and so he recently got put on IR. Same with BBK, Ben Burke-Kirby, the backup linebacker on the Seahawks. He's pretty great for us on special teams, and so to see both those guys who have been showing now for the Seahawks, because there haven't been too much, other presence in terms of the backups and the rest of the depth, and so that's definitely a concern of mine. But those are 2 guys that were preseason standouts. Both were depth pieces, and now both are on IR. I think Dwayne Eskridge recently he got activated or recently came off the PUP list, and so hopefully he'll play in the final preseason game. Who else is out there? And I think some of the starters are going to play in the final preseason game. I mean, this is the 3rd and final preseason game. It is the last one before the regular season takes place, and so hopefully we see some starters out there. But man, we got a lot to talk about in terms of Seattle preseason.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And CG, what about them Niners, man? Everybody good?
So far, the only injury concern is just Jaquiski Tart. He's probably going to miss majority of the season with a turf toe, which is like a serious matter. Maurice Hurst, the good news about him, he's only going to miss maybe about 2 to 4 weeks at least, because he had like a high sprained ankle. And as far as Michael Kendricks, he's going to be placed on IR with a turf toe. And as far as injury updates, Trey Sherman should be good to go. He only missed time. Jaquan Jennings had like what you call a little injury strain, and that's why they sidelined him from that game against the Chargers. So as far as injuries that I'm looking at, not much. Just a very little. Like some of them seem okay, but the only concerning one is just Jaquiski Tart's going to miss majority of the time, possibly.
Yeah, that's good news, man. I don't like even as like a rival of all of these teams. I'd rather beat everybody at their best, and so injuries are not something I want to see. And also, you get that out of it's like if the Rams beat somebody, say Russell Wilson goes down and the Rams win, all the Seahawks fans are going to say the same exact thing. Well, Russ wasn't playing, So I hate that, and so it's good to keep going. I did see a comment roll in from the Cardinal Rule that actually just reminded me that I said that I was going to give my story of why my name is Sheriff Joe Bags. We will get to that here at the end of the show. So nice. I did see it pop in, though, and thank you for the reminder because, I did forget about that. So we will definitely do that as I am posting it here. But we do have some cuts come in. Like we had last week's cuts. We went down to 85. We are now down to 80-man rosters. And so we've got, 10 guys out, and we still got a couple guys that we'll be losing out on next week, of course. But I wanted to ask you guys though if there was any surprise cuts so far on your team. Anybody that you kind of thought would be still hanging around, but maybe they're already knocked out. So
yeah, for the
yeah, you look
Cardinals,
like you're ready.
nothing too crazy, nothing that's like surprising, like, oh my God, why did they do that type of stuff? But yeah, nothing really here. I mean, it's typical, maybe practice squad type of players, stuff like that, trimming the fat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's about what these cuts are, trimming the fat a little bit. But the Rams, I will say, do have a little bit of a surprise cut. But we'll go to CG with the Niners. Anybody that shocked you so far?
As far as like standing out, Charlie Warner, he's looking to make a case to make the team.
Did he?
Simba Webster. Oh, the cut. Oh, yeah. the one that's disappointing. Okay.
No. Just
Richie James. Richie James. He just hasn't stand out. Like. Oh, practice squad candidates. I can't hear. My bad.
Oh, you're good, man. Who's been? Has there been any so far that has surprised you?
Trent Sherfield. That's all I hear.
Wow.
The connection, the chemistry. He's standing out.
I think CG's having a hard time hearing me. That's all good. Steezy, what about them Seahawks, man?
As far as surprising, I wouldn't go there. I think for me, the most surprising cut came well before the preseason, and that was an FSU standout, Tamorion Terry. I think my biggest video up to date was on him, and then, as soon as he got cut, it was recently, flooding with comments talking about, oh, he just got cut, blah, 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 and I was like, what? No way, because I don't know, generating all this hype and buzz about him because I was really high on him. Obviously, a lot of it was off the field related, and so I guess that kind of, is the reason why he got cut, but to me, that was the most surprising one. Seattle did cut cornerback Pierre Desir, a veteran who played for the Ravens, who played for the Jets last year, who was pretty abysmal, to say the least. He got cut in favor of Luke Wilson, who's now coming back to Seattle in yet another one-year deal. I don't know if he's going to stick around for too long, but I think Pierre Desir is, I guess, the most notable in terms of who got cut.
Yeah, I was actually, we did get a little bit of a surprise cut this week, at least on my end. I was definitely surprised to see quarterback Duck Hodges cut already because the Rams are not playing Matthew Stafford in preseason. John Wolford, we heard that he was not going to be playing in preseason, but he will be suited up this weekend in Denver, and that is only because Bryce Perkins will be playing the entire game just like he did this last weekend against the Raiders, but just in case something happens, we will have the Wolf being the backup quarterback in this preseason game. So I really thought that, hearing that Stafford and Wolf weren't going to be playing, that we would at least see Hodges and Perkins stay on the roster heading into the final preseason game. That is not what happened. So, we're down to just the three quarterbacks. And I got to say, guys, I don't know about everybody else, what you guys are seeing from Bryce Perkins, but and he's looking pretty good, and I don't know if he'll be able to clear waivers if we can stash him on our practice squad or not. I do think that somebody will probably snatch him up, and I don't think that there's any reason we'd go in with three quarterbacks, but that is actually one of the names of the Rams that is kind of sticking out a little bit that maybe people don't know that much about. Maybe they haven't heard a lot about Bryce Perkins, which I mean, it's understandable. He's the Rams' third-string quarterback, of course.
Right.
So. Is there anybody on your guys' squads who's kind of standing out a little bit that maybe other people don't know about?
For the Arizona Cardinals, we actually have a few. Honestly, I think the very first game that we had against the Cowboys, we did a pretty darn good job against them all around. I think our rookies had an amazing job. Zaven Collins, Rondell Moore had an amazing game as well. The second game, it was a little trouble, kind of concerning to watch. Kyler Murray going out there for three drives, and his stats were, I believe, it was like one of 4, 2 yards. We did like back to back 3-and-out, so it was kind of concerning to watch. But in terms of the rookies and kind of the people that don't really know anybody, I would say Greg Dortch. That's basically a wide receiver that we have, which might have an opportunity to make the roster, 53-man roster, which I hope he does, because I don't know. Andy Isabella, his time is kind of wearing thin here with the Arizona Cardinals. He will be playing this game, which is going to be against the Saints, our last game. But he needs to show out, man. If he doesn't show out, I could definitely see another wide receiver that's making a big impact. And I think Dortch might be that guy that makes that 53-man roster if Andy Isabella can't,
Yeah, this is the week. I'm gonna have to watch the rest of your guys' squads this weekend for sure, man. Get those last little bit of those last nuggets, of guys.
Right.
What about you, Steezy?
Man, I just want to say the Cardinals, you guys are stacked at receiver. My gosh. I remember when Andy Isabella was drafted. I mean, it was all this hype and buzz, with him going into the offseason, and now he's on the roster bubble. I mean, I think that's a testament to, the depth of receiver. So even if Larry Fitzgerald was to come back maybe mid-season or come playoff time, I don't know if he'd have much of a role. So I don't know, I just want to get that out the way. For the Seahawks, running back DJ Dallas. He's been, I think, the lone bright spot in what has been a very pathetic Seahawks offense. I know it's a whole bunch of backups, third stringers, end of the depth chart type of guys, but I'm a little concerned about Seattle's depth. I mean, 30-3 against the Denver Broncos. I get it. We were playing against, Denver starters. Teddy Bridgewater was out there with the first team offense, and so it's no surprise our backups got annihilated. I mean, we're playing against NFL caliber starters. So DJ Dallas, though, like I said, I'm not sure if he had very many rushes, but in terms of catches, he was pretty effective in the pass game. He's been really the only source of touchdowns, of scoring production, scrimmage yards, and so I like what he's been doing. Ben Burke-Irvin, who just tore his ACL, like I talked about earlier, I thought he was performing real well for the defense, putting up double-digit tackles, I think, in both the games that he played in. And so he was a guy that I was excited about. But, yeah, as far as standout performers go, that list is real small for me. So
and don't even feel bad about that Broncos one, man, because the Broncos they beat the butt cheeks off of the Minnesota Vikings in week 1. So I mean they're out here just dominating preseason, which I mean the Rams might get wrecked this weekend. It's all good because it's preseason, but their
regular season started early, man. Let me tell you that they came to freaking play.
Yeah, they're not messing around in preseason, man. They're absolutely just crushed people. What was their first game, like 33-3? I think is what it was.
I think it was 37. It was 37, I think. Yeah, but look, they're trying to look good for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
There you go.
A little enticing. I already mentioned the one for the Rams, Bryce Perkins, but just some other names I want to throw out there. 7th-round pick this year, Chris Garrett, had an absolutely amazing game. He had one drive where he had it was a sack and a half and a tackle for loss just on one drive. Everybody, the whole sideline's going crazy. You see like Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald and stuff all going nuts on the side. That was awesome to see. But also Justin Lawler, who's kind of been around a little bit. CG's having some technical difficulties, guys, so he'll be in and out, but it's all good. Justin Lawler, who's been on the Rams roster for a couple of years now, but he's kind of bounced around with injuries and stuff like that. And then cornerback Bronte Harris, who had an awesome game in week 1 against the Chargers, and then this week against the Raiders had a pretty sweet pick on that. There was a tipped ball that he made a heck of a play on. I didn't think he was going to be able to get to it, so those are my names for you guys. But, we also have some guys that we've all been excited about and have wanted to see a lot more of, and maybe they're just not getting it done. So is there anybody that's kind of disappointed with you guys, like disappointing you guys? Or we'll start with Steezy.
I think Snow Forsythe. He was a guy that I was pretty high on going into the offseason, and to see him struggle in the fashion that he did against the Raiders, that was very concerning. I mean, the Raiders, I know it's their backups and whatnot, but they don't have much of a pass rush to begin with. And so to see Stone Forsythe struggle immensely against, backup pass rushers, I mean, it kind of tells me that he has a lot more season to go before, being able to man that blind side for Russell Wilson. Right now, there's still somewhat of a standoff between Dwayne Brown and the Seahawks. And so if Stone Forsythe were to be the next man up, if Dwayne Brown were to miss any time, I'd be very, very, very concerned. He's definitely a guy that I think, like I said, needs a lot more seasoning and is kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I probably would have to go offensive line as well. I mean, not all of them, but when Kyler Murray's been out there, and like I said, that the performance that we put up against the Kansas City Chiefs and defensively for our starters, I think we did a very good job. A little things to tweak here and there, but our offense just looked very bad. But I guess a player that I would want to see get kind of a little bit more reps is going to be Josh Jones. We ended up getting as a 3rd-round pick. I believe it was a couple of years back out of Houston. I was really high on him. I thought he was going to be a late 1st rounder, maybe an early 2nd rounder. He ended up slipping to the Arizona Cardinals, which I was absolutely ecstatic about. I think he's doing a very good job, but he still needs to work on a few different things. But I have faith that he can definitely clean it up in the regular season.
Yeah, you guys mentioned offensive line. That's definitely what I kind of point to with the Rams, especially one player in particular who I'm a big fan of, who, especially against the Raiders, graded high on PFF, but I'm not really sure how because he kind of looked pretty rough, and that's Bobby Evans, second-year offensive lineman. He really is mainly a tackle, and we've been putting him at guard a lot. So, I don't know if that has a lot to do with it or if that's the entire thing or what, but, it's – he had a rough stretch out there against the Raiders this week. But on the flip side of that, I mean, a guy like Coleman Shelton came in and he looked awesome, man. He was barreling through people, so that was really good to see. CG's kind of bouncing in a little bit. We'll get to him, but if you guys have questions, if you guys really want to get my attention on these questions, make sure you guys hit the super chat and we can answer those for you guys. But I will see a couple of them popping in here. But that is, I'll be honest with you guys, the super chat catch my eye. All right, so. Make sure you guys hit those. Let's see here. I'll give you guys my story real fast, all right? With just my Sheriff Joe Bag story really fast. It's not as cool as you guys think it is, and so I'm sorry I'm sorry ahead of time for disappointing you guys with this story. But actually, the quick version of the story is years ago, I was working at a bakery at a grocery store, and I was on what they called the donut shift. So I was in at 1 a.m. To 9:30 a.m. And so the name became Joey Bag of Donuts because my name is Joe. And that, of course, got shortened to Joe Bags. And I'll be completely honest with you guys, I have no idea how Sheriff got added to that. I know who added it. It was my good friend PJ, who I've worked with on different companies and stuff like that. But he added the Sheriff, and it became Sheriff Joe Bags. And that was actually not used for anything. And then when I started Ram Showcase, it was like, I don't want to go by Joe. Like, that's boring. Everybody's named Joe. That's the most normal thing in the universe. So Sheriff Joe Bags is what it was, and got the tattoo now. So,
hey, you made it official. Sheesh. Well, hey man, my name is Mike. So common, you could say Mike anywhere in a crowded room, and 12 people will be like, "Hey, what's up? What you want?"
Yeah, I'm 5'10". My name's Joe. I'm the average human being ever, man. What about you, Steezy? I guess we need to know your name now. Or are you going to tell us that when you host?
No, I can tell you right now. Just so Cal Steezy actually is a nickname that I got in high school. And then I think it was around junior year, people started shortening it, and so they called me Steezy. And so that was kind of the nickname. That was kind of what everybody called me, Steezy. And so about a year ago, when I created my channel, started doing all this, this YouTube stuff, this, getting into the sport game, I was coming up with a name, and I was like, okay, let me go with Steezy, because obviously, it's my nickname. I think it's one of a kind. I don't think anyone else. I've never met anyone else who has that name, and so Stephen A. Smith, somebody I look up to, somebody I listen to, somebody I respect, somebody who I view as being at the top of his craft. I said his name is synonymous with sports, and so I'm gonna have and put together my nickname, added to his, I guess, last name, put it together, and we'll see if I can put together some magic. And so fast forward a year later, and Steezy A. Smith, here I am. So
nice. Okay, I kind of figured. Yeah, I was like, it's very similar to the Stephen A. Smith. So yeah, that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah. So
cool. I used to. I'll be honest with you, man. I used to type in Sweezy. And I think it was just my brain putting in the Seahawks and just like J.R. Sweezy. Like I think that was my brain.
J.R. Sweezy.
Yeah. So
man, I've been called Sneezy, Sweezy. So I've definitely got other versions.
Let's see if we got any questions popping in here. I have not. Let's see if no, I was gonna see if CG is messaging me. All right, let's see here. See what he's up to, but let's see if we can get some questions in for anybody. Let's see here.
Yeah, he's having some issues with this phone. I'm definitely seeing that too. Yeah, so I know once we kind of get into the groove of things, when the season starts, that's when we're gonna have obviously a lot more topics to talk about. So I'm really excited to kind of get to the grand scheme of things. I'm stoked, man.
Yeah, we're in that perfect time frame right now where we like you said, we're like trimming the fat. That's where we're at in the roster cuts. I mean, Rams cut a tight end named Kyle Markway today. If you guys, care about that, it's somebody who special teams fill in, for preseason games and stuff like that. So let's see here. We'll get a couple of questions in. Some of these are for specifics. Oh, I think I took it away. There we go. Sorry, it's 1 billion degrees in here, so my computer's going a little bit slow here. I'll let you take that one, though, Mike.
All right, cool. So do you think Kyler Murray is going to play against the Saints? If I would have it any other way, I would say yes. I would love for him to be out at least 1 or 2 drives to see if we can kind of get a freaking first down. That's really something that I want the Cardinals to do, to see if we can start gelling a little bit better. So if it was my opinion, I would say yes. But I know a lot of fans don't want them. They want to put them in bubble wrap. And basically wait for them to go into the regular season. But I would say at least give them two drives. But I'm not quite sure what they're going to do yet.
Yeah, this is like the game that you're like, just don't get any, like, just anybody who's going to contribute, just don't get hurt. Just survive this one. This one here comes from the Cardinal rule. Any middle linebackers looking good seems to be the rough part of your roster. Actually, I've got my episode that I will be recording tomorrow. I've got my whole cut predictions for my 53-man roster for the LA Rams. I do have some surprises there, especially at the middle linebacker spot. So if you guys are curious to see who I believe will make the roster there, definitely check out Ram Showcase this week. But there are some guys that I'm a fan of that are in that role. Kenny Young, I think, is in kind of a really good spot to pop this year. And then Ernest Jones, the rookie, he's been green dotting in certain situations. And actually, we kind of got the cool story in the first preseason game for the Rams. We were going against the Chargers. It was the very first defensive drive. And Raheem Morris, he was hitting the wrong button on his headset. So Ernest Jones, a rookie who's seeing his first ever NFL game action, had no communication with the coach. He called that entire drive on his own. And
wow.
I mean, it was like a 10-minute drive, so you don't want to see that, but it ended up at 3 points. So, yeah, I mean, could have been worse. But I think we're going to be all right there. This is another one here from Cardinal. This one's for you, Steezy. Who's going to lead the Seahawks in sacks this year? Hopefully not a safety again.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Okay, look, I don't know if the intent was to, send shots in this direction. But I will say this: ain't nothing wrong with the safety leading, any team in sacks, as long as overall the team is able to muster up some sacks themselves and able to help out in that regard. And so last time I checked, Seattle last season finished in the top 7, 46 sacks. Jamal only had, 9.5 of those. And so overall, it was a great team effort. But to answer the question, I'm gonna go with Carlos Dunlap. He had 5 sacks in 8 games for Seattle, including a couple game winners. Game icers, game clinchers. And so I think that, now that his career has been revitalized, hopefully, it's capped off with, Seattle signing Geno Atkins, to kind of bring back a little Cincy reunion there. I think that'll only serve to motivate Carlos Dunlap. I think the pass rush is loaded. There's a whole bunch of depth pieces. Jamal's only going to get better. But I think out of that bunch, Carlos Dunlap stands out just off of pure talent. He's the best pass rusher on the roster. And I think I'm going to say 10, 11, maybe 12 sacks.
I have a question for you. I was going to get CG on there, but for you, I want to know what's up with KJ Wright. Why is he not getting a team?
Man, I mean, he did talk about it at the beginning of the offseason before free agency even began. He's not taking a hometown discount, and I think that applies to every other team in the NFL, and he just hasn't been offered the sort of money that he's been looking for. With the regular season just weeks away, I don't know if it's going to remain that way, but time's really running out. I mean, there's going to be roster cut downs, and so there's going to be even more linebackers for teams to choose from. I don't know. Maybe at the very last minute, he just ends up signing with Seattle just because. I mean, because at this point in the offseason, he's going to have a hard time being able to latch on to the team, learn the playbook. I know he talked about how he's a veteran and how that shouldn't even be a worry of his, but I mean, come on, bro. He hasn't been, in any sort of offseason program whatsoever. And so we don't know if he's in football shape. But as far as that goes, yeah, I think that he's just kind of asking for a lot more money than what teams are willing to offer him. And he might be willing to take this into the regular season if he's already waited this long, barring a last-minute reunion with Seattle.
That makes sense. This question here is about some of your comments and a video that you released, actually, Steezy. So you did do the video about how the Rams are overrated, but I would like to point out, I would like to just point out here briefly that just before that video released, we were right here on the NFC West Roundtable. You actually selected the Rams to win the NFC West, and then you immediately put out a video about how they're overrated. Do you think the entire NFC West is trash?
You miss 1 week, and this is what happens, Steezy.
Now, look. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. Really, the point of that video, or I had that video planned for weeks. It kind of just took me a while to get to it, but it was more so just to kind of, get people talking, to kind of, get the opposing fan base to really just, kind of just tune in and, for me to just create a ruckus. That was really the intent behind it. But I also do want to say I'm not married to my statements. And so just every now and then, I might feel one way, given, different circumstances or whatever I end up finding out, then, I'm always subject to change. But I did say that the Rams were going to win, but recently I actually changed my mind yet again. I got another team winning the division, and it's not Seattle.
Oh, really? Who? I got to hear it. Who?
And it's not Seattle. Should I try to say it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Honestly, I'm a little bit scared of this team. And I'm actually going to this city next week, but San Francisco 49ers.
What?
Yeah, I'm going to say that right now. But again, I'm not married to my statements. So
yeah, fair.
Who knows? Maybe a month from now, I might be leaning in Seattle's direction. But right now, I'm scared. I'm scared of the 49ers.
Yeah, the defense, or what scares you about Trey Lance, or what's going on?
Just the team. Yeah, I just feel like, Trey Lance, he's definitely looked raw. He's had his moments, but he's also had more bad moments than good. But I just feel like the upside that he brings to the table, that team's already a Super Bowl contending team with Jimmy G. And so you bring in the upside that Trey Lance brings in, the mobility. Kyle Shanahan hasn't had a quarterback since Robert Griffin, in which he's able to, call these sort of plays and run this sort of offense. He could do that with Trey Lance. The upside, the potential is limitless. And so, man, I just think that if he was to come in late in the season and kind of be that spark.
Wow.
Are you going to just rotate through every single team and then no matter who wins, you be like,
look, I might just do it because I'm also high on Arizona, or maybe more so Kyler Murray. I think he's a dark horse to win MVP, but usually if a guy's in the MVP hunt, his team's doing pretty good. So
yeah, we got to fill you in, CG. So Steezy,
yeah, my bad. Yeah, my bad. The reception's been like a mess, and I haven't been able to get this phone, but I can hear better now. Okay, so what was it? Did I miss? Let's start over.
So basically, he's saying that he's changed his prediction for the winner of the NFC West, and now it's the San Francisco 49ers. This week, he thinks it's the San Francisco 49ers that's going to win the division. This week.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that changes.
I'm still getting the Rams the edge a little bit because of the fact they're more complete than everybody else. Okay, like as far as the one player who disappointed me and got cut, it's pretty obvious, River Craycraft. I knew he wasn't going to be a chance to make the roster. I thought maybe he would have been a favorite because of the Trent Taylor treatment, but I guess I was wrong about that part. And the guy who stood out to me was Trent Sherfield. And what else did I miss in that way? Because I apologize.
That's pretty much it. We're just talking smack. Yeah, we're just giving grief to Steezy.
I don't know, man. My phone usually doesn't go like this.
Who's on my dartboard? Cliff or Kime? That's hilarious. I think I would say Steve Kime. Definitely in my dartboard. I got the whoosh. He's got to go, man. I'm tired of this guy. So I'll say Steve Kime.
Right there already, huh?
Yeah.
And then we got another one for you about the Cardinals here.
Oh, snap. Okay, so do you think that we're going to be like a really good team this year, win the division, and make the playoffs? I think we're going to go to the playoffs. I'm not sure we're going to win the division, though. I'm not that completely delusional quite yet anyways. Let's start off 3-0, 4-0, and then I'll be like, yes, we're going to win. But no, right now, I don't know. We're starting up the schedule pretty tough with Tennessee, and then we got the Vikings.
All right, we'll just do a couple more here. This one is for you, CG. Which week will Trey Lance take over at quarterback?
Maybe midway to the season. At this point, we're going to start Jimmy. So I think depending on if Jimmy G gets injured or plays terrible, then we might see Trey Lance a little earlier. But from what I'm hearing, it's a lot of good buzz about Trey Lance. He's looking really good. He's gotten better throughout the preseason, and it's kind of showing good signs. watching him in the preseason, his completion percentage improved from last week to where he threw some good passes, and he's kind of like avoid a little bit of sacks. So that's a good sign. I would think it depends on Jimmy G. It's Jimmy G's job to lose, is what I would say.
Yeah, but I mean, let's not pretend like he's looking good at all in these games, going against backups. So I mean, I think it could be a little bit sooner, especially the way that he's looking out here. We got one more here that I'll go ahead and answer. Question for Deputy Joey Cinnabon. Who are the Rams going to sign, Adrian Peterson or Frank Gore? Probably neither, but if I had to pick my preference, I would say that I would like the Rams to go with Adrian Peterson. I think with the young group that the Rams have at the running back position right now, that locker room presence could be invaluable. It's also safe to say that he would probably go on a pretty cheap deal, considering he's still a free agent. He's a little bit older of a guy, and he just wants to be able to go to a competitor. And any of these four teams are in that situation, but with the Rams running back situation, with losing Cam Akers, we just lost Raymond Calais for the season as well. And then Darrell Henderson, he's fine, sprained thumb, but I mean, there's something about Stafford being on your team that makes all your running backs get hurt, apparently. So that's what we're dealing with now. So, but that is going to do it for us, guys. I'm not sure exactly who will be hosting next week. We will talk about that. Make sure you guys keep an eye on all of our community tabs there, and you guys will be able to get up to date on that really fast. The quickest version ever. Where can we follow you guys on social media? AZ Sports Fan.
AZ Sports Fan. Anywhere. Just look up Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Sorry.
And CG, where can we find you?
CG Ruthless on Twitter, CG Ruthless on Instagram, and CG Ruthless Sports.
Sweet. Steezy?
At Ram Showcase, at AZ Sports Fan, at CG Ruthless Sports, and at Steezy A Smith, all socials.
Yeah, and at Sheriff Joe Bags if you want to follow myself personally. But all right, thank you guys so much for hanging out, and you guys have an amazing night. Let's go Rams.
Go Hawks.